Hello, everybody. This is your host at Level Up Academy, Dr. Leland. Welcome to tonight's show. I know it's late, right? We have a beautiful person today that we have to make sure we accommodate our guest. And today's guest, we're going to talk about what does a DEIB manager do? What does that mean? What is it good for? What are some of the values that we can share and learn from Noni tonight? Okay. Ollie calls her Noni Pepperoni. So I just call her Noni. And my girls actually call their grandmother Noni. So when she calls me sometimes, I thought my mom was calling. And it's my friend, my sister Noni. So we're going to go ahead and vibe for a little bit. Let's listen to Randy Sharp, Mr. Garita, vibe a little bit, and I will see you in a little bit, okay? Check this out. Let's connect. Welcome to Level Up Academy. Thank you so much for our 25,000 YouTube subscribers. We appreciate you so much. Because of you, our MP3 is now also globally ranked at top 10% out of 3 million podcasters out there. This is an amazing milestone for us. Thank you so much. We are here for you. We have MP3, we have live streams, we have TV show, and soon will be internet radio. We are also doubling up our TV network. We have TV shows on Thursdays at 9 a.m. PST and Sunday at 7 p.m. PST. We are in 90 nations and countries in 25 distribution channels. Our mission is to be the Netflix of education, and our mission is to level up the world through education. Please help us. And of course, this is my amazing, sometimes loving the A-listers on Hollywood like Stan Lee and Greg Nicotero from Walking Dead, Alien, Lance Henriksen, Kassir, right, from the Tales of the Crypt, and the Zombies of Ken Forey. I love the old zombies. I am also a 3 times international best-selling co-author and author as well, self-publishing on Amazon and academic publishing. We are collaborating projects. We do membership, courses, coaching, graphics design, book publishing, mentorship, and we are your publicity hub. right here at Level Up Academy. We also have Level Up Circle TV on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple, and Google Play. 1,000 things. Thank you so much. Are you a curious student, eager to learn new skills and make your mark in the world? Or are you a professional seeking to advance your career and unlock your full potential? You need to be equipped with effective soft skills like communication, problem solving, teamwork, and more. The Level Up Academy by Doc Leland bridges the gap between education and employment through transferable skills training. Get the soft skills you need to be more effective at work. It is done. Anyway, before I show my tired face right now at 9 p.m. TST, most of my EST brothers and sisters are snoring. We have a late night show, and I just wanted to invite you guys to join the last opportunities tomorrow for authoring your own chapter in the Beyond Boundaries Thriving in Life's Gray Zone. So my name is Dr. Constance Leland. Welcome. And are you guys ready? I don't know if you're ready to see my tired eyes, but we have a lot to talk about tonight. No music. Still dancing at 9. I don't have coffee. Well, actually, I drink 2 cups today. I had Starbucks and then my regular. Okay, maybe third cup. Yeah, 2.5. I'm stretching it. Okay. Anyhow, I wanted to let you guys know that tomorrow morning, Susanna and I are going to go over PodFest information. Should you go, if you are going to go next year, what are some of the things that you would want to do? And what are some of the things that we wish we did? What are some of the things that you need to look out for? Which hotel should you be staying without mama dramas? Which food areas to go with, what kind of activities you could do other than PodFest around that area. We're going to go over some swags that we got, some equipment. I'm going to go over this. The BBC uses tomorrow. I'll show you what this little guy is and our experiences. We're going to also share photos and videos, a little bit of what I did as far as presentation-wise for Healthcare Amplified, and how amazing it was to meet real people from LinkedIn that I talk to almost every day and never met them in person, and then met them. And it was an amazing time. And just looking back, there's definitely some things I wish I could have done more. But at that moment, it was the best thing that we could have done based on our schedule coming back. Anyhow, so Level Up Academy, we are going to be offering this anthology, and anybody who's on this anthology will also be amplifying their messages. Most anthologies that you belong to, after you write a book, it's pretty much done, and it's really up to you to take it to the next level, right? A lot of people goes, well, what is the benefit of writing an anthology? The benefit is you have the authority. Secondly is that when you're looking for a job and people literally
tell you like, okay, what different, they're looking at what is your unique proposition value for yourself when you actually apply for the job. If you have the same skills, the same degrees as somebody else, right, the next candidate, what makes it different is when you belong and to an anthology, or if you've written a co-authored a book, then that makes you unique already as it is. Another thing is that when you are in podcasts and live streams, you got to be very picky. I understand some of you might not have done it in the past, and you can, but be very picky on which podcast or live stream that you're going for, who align with your values, right? Because there's so many podcasters and live streamers out there now, and they just kind of talk in the loop. I want to make sure that we provide value to our listeners, to our viewers, and a lot of my friends who does live stream, we all do the same thing, which is to elevate our community member. What makes it different is each one of us creates value for the conversation that we're having, and it is no different than today. So today we're going to get to know one of our member named Noni, and we're going to kind of ask her, what she's all about, what she does for the community. And quite honestly, I was super impressed with Noni. We were in the audio room with my brother Ollie, and he was not feeling too hot, meaning like he wasn't sick, but he was feeling kind of down. And knowing me, I love to help people, and I don't like people feeling down. So I provided him a project, because I'm a teacher, I like to give homework, a project that we can do for him, like a 30-second or 60-second video on what you're grateful for. And Noni over here, okay, decided to help me out. She didn't know me from Schmo over there, right? She literally helped me out of the kindness of her heart, and offered her services for free, saying, I'd be happy to help you. Not only that, I got so busy, she followed up with me twice, okay? And I'm super grateful for her. And those are the type of people that I want to align myself with, the ones who says what they say and do what they say, not just say it, but really do it, right? And so without further ado, let me just check out my sister from another mother. She looks mysterious today. And I told her she already looks beautiful. Look at her. I can see her. And she's like, hi, what's up? Are you ready, sister? From another mister? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready in the green room. Are you ready? Yes? She gives me a thumbs up. All right. Before I will leave you guys, make sure if you don't know Hounds of Business community, obviously Mike Asherbrenner is the founder. Let me know. I'd be happy to hook you up. We are kind-hearted people, heart-centered people, business owners, founders, coaches, you name it. We pretty much have everyone in there. But we want to make sure that you are in a community where we say and we do what we say, not just say it, okay? So let's take a look at. See, look at her. She's still covering her face. Oh my gosh, yes, yes. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I could be better. I have a cough drop in my mouth right now and some tea in my Boston cup to survive. So I think I'm in good shape right now with the help of those two. How are you doing?
Good, good. What's up, sis? She's up too. She's on the West Coast. Noni, tell me, where are you based right now?
I am in San Francisco, California, particularly downtown San Francisco, which is now known as the Doom Loop and other things. But yes, I am a resident of San Francisco, California, Bay Area.
Awesome. Oliver is in YouTube. Amazing. Well, that is, thank you so much for, being up this late, 9:14, and East Coast people are literally after midnight. This is usually my first questions here at Level Up is think back 20 years ago and find within your timeline some of the significant changes in your life that got you here where you are today.
Excuse me. Well, there's too many of them. Let's see. Um, well, there was a time in back in the day when I used to live in United Arab Emirates. I grew up there till I was 14, and I was the quiet kid. And this is a very personal example. I was a quiet kid. Not didn't really talk that much, minded my own business, just did my own thing. And I realized that anytime there was a school play or anytime there was an opportunity to basically get involved with any uh, community projects, I would always get passed on because I did not speak. And as an introvert and someone who does like to work with community events and community social impact and things like that, that was not a very pleasant feeling for me. So that is one thing that started the whole burst of I need to make sure that I want to do as much as I can to make my community a better place and in a space where everybody can be, participating in anything that they want to participate in. So that is one thing. The other thing was that was really heartbreaking was as I grew older, I had a classmate, and his brother was, I don't exactly know what condition he had, but it required him to consistently be in a wheelchair or walk with a stretch, and he would not be able to. And he wasn't growing. He was remaining the same age but not growing. I don't want to assume what he had or anything like that, but I know for a fact that that kid wanted to participate in playing sports and just doing regular boy activities that people or kids, little kids want to do at the time. And he just was not getting the opportunity. However, whenever he would walk around somewhere or attempt to walk independently without the use of a wheelchair or stretches, he would often get made fun of. And that is something that I did not understand why people want to pick on someone like that, something that you can't control or they can't control. So I think those were the two most important things that got my fire going. And then, of course, that led to other opportunities. But that's pretty much how it all started. That was 20 plus years ago, definitely.
I love that. You use your experience to actually create something from the fire of passion on helping others.
Right.
I can really see that with you because, like I said, when I was in Ollie's audio room, you didn't know me from nobody. Um, and you were willing to help me out as a stranger for a project that I wanted to do for Ollie. That's usually what I will do is I'll create a projects around people who needs to get boosted because we all need that friend, right? You don't need to be my best friend to be boosted. If I feel the energy is pretty low and you're not vibing where you're supposed to be, I like to give back that way. I'm not a rich person, but I am rich in terms of friends. I have a lot of friends who want to help me. And thank you for being my friend who help me out and elevate Ollie because we are a village and it takes a village to raise a child. And each one of us is a child, literally, right? Like we might not be an infant, but we're definitely a toddler. That's for sure, right? Sometimes. So talk to me about now that you have feeling like that, you came in here, you're not from this country. What are some of the experiences that you have had that says, you know what, in my career, I'm going to stay in this area because I want to help? Like, what actually fuels your passion continuously?
I don't like hostility. Let's just put it that way. So, as I'm sure a lot of the audience watching can relate, maybe cannot relate. I'm not sure, but I was 14 years old when I moved to the United States from United Arab Emirates. Definitely a language barrier. Even though English was my first language, my primary language, we grew up in the British English system. We did not grow up in the American English system. So oftentimes, whatever I was saying would be not translating properly to my American classmates. And that often caused a lot of confusion for them. Now that I understand both perspectives on how the average American thinks and how the average non American may think, I want to be able to be um, that glue that connects the two thought processes together to make something awesome happen. I'll give you a perfect example. And this is an example I tell everyone. As a freshman in high school, we didn't have a lot of money. So I would always bring in one pencil to school every single day. And that one pencil had, of course, eraser in the back of it. And this time just so happens that I ran out of the eraser in my pencil. I turned around, looked at my classmate, and I wanted to ask him for an eraser. But because I'm an immigrant at that time, with my British English happening in my mouth, I asked him, "Hey, can I borrow your rubber?" And that's what eraser is in British English. It's rubber. I did not know what rubber meant in American English. And he just stared at me for a second. And I stared back at him for a second. So I asked him again, "Can I borrow your rubber?" And he literally blushed and he said, "Well, I don't have any on me right now, but I'm happy to ask my brother if I can get some of his rubbers and hand them to you." And that is something that left me very confused. And I had to make sure I understood him correctly as to why he needs to borrow a rubber from his brother when he has one right in front of him. And
Oh
after some time, after some time, we both understood that I meant an eraser, and he was the first one in my entire class to let understand that I am not familiar with the slangs and all that stuff as an immigrant. So he taught me that, what rubber actually means, amongst other things. So if I have an opportunity to break that wall, break that barrier of language and translations and things like that, and thought processes, I think I'm doing a good job.
oh my God. I would have died if you said that. And Uncle asked, I'm like, I'm sorry, girl. What did you just say? Like, I would have died. So you do know what rubber means now, right? Like,
Yes, I don't want to get all perverted on your podcast or your
I
show.
know, like, oh my God, Noni, for real. That, oh man, I have a lot of definitely experiences with language barrier, and Ollie really is the culprit of us knowing that, right? But like, imagine, okay, people, one kid called me dummy because I didn't know what that means, and I just smiled and laughed, and he just kept calling me dummy, and I was like, okay. So I was here, I think around April. I was 15, and
Mhm.
no, 13, and calls me dummy, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay. I just keep laughing, and then one day after 3 months, I learned English in 3 months. That's supposed to take 3 years or whatever to for it was English as a second language. It was called ESL, not ELD, English Language Development now. And I said, "Oh, I know what a dummy is now." So I asked this kid, and I said, "Hey," his name was John. I cannot forget that name. I said, "John, what does a dummy define? Like, what is the definition of a dummy?" And he's like, "Well, GPA, of course. Like, if you have a high GPA, then, you're smart. But, like, if you have a low GPA, you're a dummy." And I was like, "How do you know my GPA is low? Like, I literally didn't have any GPA when I came in here because I couldn't even speak English, right?" And he's like, "Well, well, now you have a GPA because you're in class." And I was like, "Yeah, it's been a hot minute because you know how the first quarter you get a grade." And I said, "Okay, so you're smart. That's great. So, what is your GPA, smart John?" I was being sarcastic, and he's like, 2.3, of course, right? And I was like, "Oh, cool. Is that number bigger?" Because I didn't understand. Because in ours we go by percentages, not by number. Like 4.0, 5.0, we go by like 80, 90%, right? And he's like, 2.3. And I'm like, I don't understand the whole system in America about grades. And he goes, "Well, if you hit like 4.0, like you're perfect, you know." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Well, what's your GPA, dummy?" Like, he literally kept repeating himself. I was like, 4.2. And he just looks at me up and down, walked away. I said, "Can I call you a dummy now? Like, is that possible?" He looked at me, he's like, "Oh," and he just walked away. And that was like one of the win. Like, I can't believe people will actually be bullying people because they can't speak English very well. And I became like the principal. Every time they have newcomers come in, they would be coming to me. And I was like, I don't know what to do with them. So I love food. And so I asked the principal, "Hey, can we have an international club? And he's like, no, you can't have a club unless you have a purpose. I said, what about like language and, food and, exchanging? He goes, yeah, well, you need to have an advisor, which is a teacher. So I asked my teacher who loves food, I said, hey, can you be my whatever they call advisor? And we just have international food. And he's like, well, what are you going to do with it? And I was like, camaraderie. Like I was making things up. I just want food. And he's like, sure. So my international club meeting was all about, we're gonna learn different kinds of food because I just love food. So every time we have meeting, like everyone would bring food, and I was like, I'll bring lumpia. I know how to make lumpia, like those Filipino egg rolls. And yeah, that's how I created my group at that time, International Club. And they're like, what do you do in International Club? Do you talk a lot about meetings? I was like, you just bring food. You bring food, you're in. Like I love food, but to me, it's like food and music, right? Um, doesn't need language, right? Kindness doesn't need language. So from there, Noni, in your English rubber eraser, how did you grow up and said, I'm still going to continue this process of helping others and becoming a DEIB? And first of all, okay, we're having that in letters. Define what DEIB for those of us who don't know what that means and what that person does.
So
I can't hear you now.
I was on mute for a second.
There you
That
go.
was so several different organizations, whether they're nonprofits or just volunteer organizations, they all have different acronyms. So when I was in corporate, it was DEI, which is diversity, equity, inclusion. And then other organizations and schools or not schools, but yeah, schools, they would refer to it as DEIJ, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. And then finally, no, there was another one, DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility. And then DEIB is diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And I saw the word MILF as I was explaining that, and I almost started to explain what MILF stood for. So, Ollie, you suck for that, but I still love you. You're on mute. You're on mute, Dr. Candid. What's this? Dr. Constance, you're on mute. Is it just me? Dr. Constance,
No,
you're on
I'm
mute.
mute. I'm on mute. I'm on mute
Oh,
because I was telling Ollie, like, I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel at 50,000. I'm not about to get canceled on defining that, Ollie. No, this is off limits. I will tell you later, but you do stuff, brother. Do not make us in this one. This is a late night show. That's not that type of combo we're having here, okay?
that's right. That's right. I mean, I would get in trouble if I translated that and added that with DEIB. Do you know how controversial that would be?
Very. Unless we have a different meaning than what I'm thinking right now. Oh my God, Ollie, you're such a troublemaker, bro. Let me tell you. So back to DEIB. Like I did not even know that there were so many DEI something in there. How did you actually get the DEIB manager? Like, what do you do?
So there are several things that a DEIB manager does, and that is first update the language of the organization, and that is my current process right now. So we want to make sure that our employee task force is diverse ethnically, racially, but then also we want to make sure that we provide equal opportunities to the people who are not just diverse, but they are like physically, but they are diverse mentally, intellectually, if they have disabilities, things like that. And when I talk about inclusion, it talks about what I mentioned earlier was you're forgetting an introverted person for a project that requires something to be an extrovert, but an introvert wants to participate. You can't leave the introvert out of the conversation just because they're an introvert. So that's an example of inclusion. Equity, for example, would be if I'm an introvert, I need skills to open up and talk to other people. That is something as if providing an opportunity to an introvert and giving them the skills, supporting them to open up, to talk to someone who is an extrovert. If that makes any sense right now. And I apologize, I'm coughing too much. And so basically, I take all these letters, define them, um, to make sure that everybody around me, my colleagues, understand them, train them, break them down to make sure that they understand what they're doing is actually DEIB and not just, oh, you're Filipino, I'm Middle Eastern, that's diversity, equity, inclusion, everything is good to go. That's not where it stops. And we want to make sure that our employees feel like they belong within an organization and not just left out. So for me, I devise training programs, I devise affinity groups, and affinity groups are very much different than interest groups, which I also identify and create. And I make sure that every single colleague is heard and every single need of theirs is met and they are happy where they work and they feel included regardless of who they are, what abilities they have or what disabilities that they have. I hope that kind of answers your question, Dr. Constance, without getting into way too much detail.
Details is good. I love detail because you learn from it. That's good. Now, I'm just thinking because I do have this sister of mine who's very introverted.
Hmm.
If you don't ask her a question, she literally will just sit there the whole hour in the corner and just look pretty. But like, I always try to include her on conversations because she has a lot to say that makes sense with great value. But that's because I'm aware, right? So, my question is when you are at work and you see somebody who has a lot to say but won't say it because they feel uncomfortable, that's not how they get their energy. A lot of people say you can't be a leader if you're an introvert. So wrong. My mom is an introvert and
Hmm.
it takes so much energy out of her to actually lead, and she was a global executive for Chevron for 36 years. So yes, you could be a leader anytime there is oil spill anywhere. She's retired now for almost a decade, but anywhere that there was an oil spill in the world, I don't care if it's Christmas, holiday, Thanksgiving, you will call my mother and she will take care of everything globally. She's
Hmm.
an introvert. Okay. You don't want to make her mad though, because she's smaller than me. I'm 5 feet tall. My mom's 4'10". But when she gets mad, you think you're in a war zone. You're like, whoa, where did that come from? Little people problems. Like me, I got issues with that too. I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm so short. But I come in big, loud Filipino voice. I get so loud. But here's the thing. When you are a leader and you're leading an organization to truly be inclusive, right? How do you make sure you're aware that you're including every single person? I think most organizations were like, yeah, we hire this person, we hire that person. Like you said, you hire this person, we're diverse, right? Equity, yeah, everyone can be heard, but not really. So how do you as a manager would make sure that every single person in your organization is included in the conversation, especially when it comes to a decision making abilities that affects their job and well-being?
So there's several ways to look at it, Dr. Constance. My old organization was 7,000 plus people, and my new organization where I work for right now, it is about 100 people collectively, plus all the volunteers and everything else. So we're not going to count volunteers in this aspect. But as far as smaller organizations, what I have done is that I have listed out survey questions and I have sent them out company wide, or the plan is to send them out company wide. In the bigger organization, I've done the same exact thing. List questions out about you know advocacy, about affinity groups, about why something is important to you. What is it that you would like management to know about? Things like that. That was very, very helpful for me, especially when it comes from an introvert's perspective, because extroverts have no problem communicating with whatever they're thinking for the most part, but introverts have a lot going on in their head. So this is an anonymous survey that I would send out to individuals to fill out and tell me exactly what they're thinking and what they would like to see, not see, talk more about, whatever have you. In a small organization, I've had one-on-ones with people in different departments so I can get to know them and build that trust and build that relationship with them. And once that happens, sure, my door is always open. They can talk to me about whatever bothers them. I've had bosses who do the same thing where I've built that trust one-on-one with them. That along with I'm losing my train of thought over here. But oh yeah, the last one was, this is something that I talked to my boss about, where when we're leading a meeting, for example, be an affinity group as an example, we would like to have alternate leaders of a meeting that's going to take place whenever it might be taking place. Hand out an agenda to the people, especially if they're introverted, have them prep for it and ask for support. And that's when most of the concerns come out without you even trying to get them to talk about their concerns. And then is when they get comfortable speaking their truth in front of everyone else. So I hope those kind of things make a little bit of sense for you, because they are completely different based on small organizations and big organizations. And I am still learning the ropes of my current organization right now to even talk in detail about it. But once as we go, it's all about application, trial and error. So there's no definite answer to that, but it's just a matter of what works for you and how you build trusting relationships with your colleagues.
Awesome. I think that they would not have hired you if they didn't feel confident, right? Because it takes a lot of money to hire people. The training, the ability to take time to train you, to ask you questions, to interview you, to go through the references. Like, that's a lot of effort for not liking somebody. So they liked you, they picked you, you are on this job. What do you think is the top 3 skills as a leader to be a really good DEIB manager?
Well, first you have to set your bias aside. That is the number one thing. I could have my own, let's say, political beliefs. I could have my own beliefs about whatever, but I should not cloud my judgment based on my own beliefs, because that will not make me a good leader, and that will not allow me to make good decisions on behalf of the company and the colleague who I'm dealing with. And that is the first and foremost thing. Secondly, you need to keep your ears open and listen to your colleague, your employee, or whoever it is with sympathetic ears. Listen to understand, not to react or repeat or replay whatever they're saying. Make sure that you understand what they're saying. If you don't understand, ask them to clarify, give you examples of what they're talking about. So those are 2 things. And the third thing is just telling them that no matter what it is, you will always be there to support them and provide resources for them to grow within the company. Whether you cannot be that person yourself, you will direct them to the right person to help them grow. That, I think, is very important for anybody to know from their manager or supervisor or even the leadership team in general.
I like that. I really truly do, because sometimes you have to be aware. I think self-awareness, but here's the thing, it's so hard to put your bias, right? Because more often we live in our head. We think people are saying something or doing something because we didn't like what we see or we didn't like what we hear, when it's really not about you. It's about something else they're going through, right? But we get affected by it. So then if we have an employee, let's say, who has a major attitude towards us, and you're not having a good day because you were dealing with something personal, you come into work and you already don't like this employee because they always come in with a bad attitude. Today is not the day to get you in that cross path. You're already biased as it is, right? Not necessarily about race or anything. It's just that attitude bias that you have. How do you keep that cool and have high emotional intelligence kick in as a manager to make sure that your bias is off bay and that you are looking at it as the person's project or whatnot? Like, what kind of conversations do you think you would have with that person if they are? Because you deal with this all the time, even with not being a DEIB manager, but more so because of that bias that you have with that person. How would you deal with that situation?
So this is a really interesting question because I don't do orthodox things like other people do, but I I'm usually a very calm person, and you can ask my partner that. He's the loud one and I'm the calm one. So aside from that, I aside from personality traits, but even at work, I take that calmness with me, and I try to separate my personality from whatever else I want to react to, and know that I'm here supporting someone else who may be a junior employee or maybe an intern or something like that. I don't want to create a culture where somebody, no matter how bad of an attitude they have, cannot come to me, because you never know, something might actually go wrong and you will just miss it because you're biased and you already have those preset assumptions about this individual. Um, there was a time when I used to work in my corporate job where I absolutely did not like this individual. He was in accounting, very bad attitude, very needy, very whatever. I just did not want to deal with him whatsoever. However, his experience with my boss's boss was even worse. So whenever he would talk to me, he would get his anger and frustration from my boss's boss out on me because I was just a punching bag for him. That's what I realized. And what I then figured out, that if I just talked to him like a normal human being, how would he react towards me versus consistently yelling at me? And he was actually an immigrant as well. He spoke a different language. And not to sound like a horrible, or not to choose a horrible word or bad word choice here, but I'm a language whore. And I love to learn different languages, no matter what it is, bad words, good words, anything. I'm down to learn that. And I realized what language he spoke. So when he was when he was trying to explain an issue to me in a very bad, angry way, I decided to say, "Oh my God," in his native language, in the most dramatic way possible. He stopped, stared, cracked up, started laughing nonstop, could not control himself. And I just stood there waiting for him to finish laughing because, you know, dude, tell me what's wrong. So he laughed for a good solid 5 minutes. And then when he calmed down officially, he was able to tell me his exact problem in a very civilized manner. So I think my attempt to relate to him by adding some humor using his own native language really helped us understand each other and also develop a better relationship. And that actually led us to implement some new programs that would work for everybody and make their lives easy. So that's just how I do things sometimes, just to relate to that other person versus just, think about them as this bad attitude, horrible employee who doesn't have anything better to do than complain and moan. I don't want to think about things like that. Bless you. Bless you.
That's why I have to mute myself, because I'm like, I think from the hot weather of Florida coming back to San Diego, cold is not like I'm getting sick. I was already sick in October for 2.5 months with the flu. I didn't have any COVID, but it seems and feels like COVID. But I'm like, oh, my husband's been sick for 2 months now. Um, I love that. Here's the thing that I'm thinking after you finish that conversation in my head is that people always say, why is it so weird to me that when Filipinos see each other, we gravitate to each other, we get even louder. We're already loud by ourselves. When we have Sifa, what? Like we just get so loud, we hug, like, and then my kids gets confused because they're half white and half Asian, obviously, and they're like, "Mom, are they blood related?" Because I let them call them auntie and uncle, right, and cousins, even though we're not blood related. But that's how our culture is. Everyone's an auntie and an uncle, right? And culturally speaking, Eastern, okay, especially Asians, we are very communal. We love community. We love to help each other. We also could be mean to each other, though. Like you and I talk about this, right? Side note, like when I don't feed my kids and my kids are, skinny in their eyes. Oh, what's wrong with you? Your mommy don't feed you? What's wrong? You right? Or if you get chubby, you're like, whoa, you live in the kitchen. Your mom is feeding you too much. Like there's no happy medium. Like I get, yeah. But when we see each other, we have that automatic camaraderie. right? And I think what you did right there as an example is that, wow, this person can relate to me. It's that automatic thing, like even though you don't know the whole entire language, you tried, right? Or maybe you do. But the thing is that you tried to relate to them. You took the moment to care enough to listen, to know that that could be his language or not. And you took enough time to say, you matter. I care. I'm sure you've been traumatized all this time. I'm here if you need it, without saying all that, just from that own language, which is great. And that's what I love about Ollie. It's because of that, right? He doesn't need to speak. I love French word anyway, but I'm just saying I love languages as well. And I used to speak 7 different languages, but I don't anymore because I don't practice, but I should. And
I'm just gonna say one thing, that Ollie's
yeah.
stealing my show here. Ollie's stealing my show, my attention here. Ollie, get it together. I know where
Yeah, I think honestly you're an amazing person. Let's talk about the project that you did, right? For Christmas, for New Year's. Can we talk about that and how it started?
Sure. Which specific project are you talking about, Dr.
The different
Constance?
languages saying happy, was it Happy New Year? Yeah.
Uh, the first one was hello in different languages, and then the second one was Happy New Year in different languages. So, as I mentioned earlier, I read the F word again. I was about to spell out the F word, Ollie.
Yeah. Effort is used at any sauce. My point is knowing things so that we don't use anymore, like rubber. Ollie, no, we're not going there. Oh my god, dude, he's never gonna let you out of that. Let me tell you something. He's gonna bring it up in his audio room.
He will, he will. And we'll just
Oh
start
my
laughing
god.
at that continuously.
Yeah.
But as far as the language thing, I mentioned earlier, Dr. Constance, that I'm a language whore, and I'm not ashamed of that either. So growing up, like I said, I was in United Arab Emirates. My parents spoke English to us first, and then their native language. My parents each speak about 6 to 7 languages, but they didn't teach me any of them, which is fine. However, the local TV was in Arabic, and at that
Mm.
time, my parents were confused as to, excuse me, why am I watching TV in Arabic without subtitles? And to me, I didn't care. I just thought it was so fascinating that there's different people around me speaking different things. I don't know what they're saying, but it's just so, um, for the lack of a better word, it was just so sexy to me when someone speaks in a different language. Doesn't matter which one it is. And so I would watch Arabic shows, commercials, whatever. And that's something that nobody around me understood. And then we moved to the United States, and I saw all these people speaking different languages, different dialects. And when I talk to different people from all over the world, I just feel so good on the inside. I want to do a cartwheel, even though I can't physically do one. So when I realized that November 21st was World Hello Day, I decided to reach out to my former school friends who are all over the world and ask them if they could say hello for me in their native language, or if they know anyone else, even some of my colleagues who are international, who are just on a work visa, to see if they can say hello. And I was able to get 36 people saying hello in 36 different languages, and I was very proud of that. So that was pretty amazing. And the same thing for the Happy New Year video, which I think is very relevant right now, considering Lunar New Year is coming up. And I realized that
February 5th.
Fe-
Mm-hmm.
February 10th.
For I think it's February. Oh, it's Chinese New Year is what I'm probably thinking. Um,
So
we celebrate Chinese New Year. It's like we have literally 2 New Years. So I love New Year's. I miss my grandfather because I get ong pao, which is red envelope with money in it. Um, but grandpa's not here anymore. Darn it. Who's gonna give me ong pao, guys? Oh yeah, you're right. It is February 10th. I thought it was February 5th, but it is. I gotta go to the Asian store now and buy my moon cake. I love moon cake. Do you like moon cake?
I'm not a big fan of beans, so I usually skip it. But I'm happy for other people who enjoy it.
Ooh, I love red bean. Um, you could actually have a different type of moon cake. I know like mochi nut, like which is donut, but like made of mochi is my favorite. I know they have it in San Francisco. One of these days I gotta meet you in person. I'm actually probably going there in March, by the way, because I gotta see my daughter. My daughter's in there. I gotta see my mom, so I'm gonna call you up and said, Noni, pick up your phone. We gotta go meet up, right?
Yes, definitely. Whenever you're ready.
Right? Seriously, I need to go see you. Now, before I can't believe we're already ending. This is way too fast for me. I do want to have two questions, but let me at least ask this question. What advice would you give to someone looking to start a career in DEIB?
Well, this is something that I did on my own, and then also what DEIB SMEs have suggested. So the first thing is read articles, keep up with the news, attend events. That's how I got to learn about what DEIB was and the importance of it. I think events are a very educational way and a fun way to learn more about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Not just that, now we have so many resources online, especially that provide articles on the specificness and the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Attend LinkedIn audio events, take free training courses, and also, if you're really serious about it, uh, get a certification in it. So it just starts with small steps. And there's a lot of SMEs out there, and you can have a one on one with them. They're usually very happy to chat with someone who is interested in the field, and they're always open to offer advice and suggestions and also mentor you. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was working in corporate. And the people who mentored me, and I don't know if Damien Kinsey, my older brother, if he's here yet or not, but he's one of the people who I go to and look up to if I have any questions about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And he's always been a great resource to me, and and he always helps me with any confusions that I have. So I think just talking to people, learning about who they are, where they come from, keeping up with articles, news, entertainment as well, I think is a great way to learn more about the field.
Awesome. I'm glad you actually mentioned Damien because Damien is amazing brother, right? For a lot of reasons. A, he's very giving. He is really supportive, and his conversations in his audio rooms are very amazing, right? So we definitely need to highlight him, even though he's not really watching, but we appreciate him. Let me
Mhm.
see if I can actually share a screen of Damien. Do you guys see Damien now?
I see him.
That's Damien. Yep, that is his profile. His brother is always welcome at Level Up Academy, and he's amazing. He supported Jackie Halberg. I love that Jackie as well. To be on my TV show during the summit because I was selling the summit TV show for only $50 to be on my show with making sure we have strategy as a business owner and what you're doing. And Damien gifted Jackie to be in my Level Up Circle TV, and that was really amazing of him. He didn't have to do it, but he did. So yes, more power to Damien. I love that about Damien because it's very giving, right? So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and shouting them out. Now my last question is, well, second to the last. I lied. This is second to the last. What strategies do you employ to create a culture of inclusion within your organization, especially within this new job?
So that is work in progress for me. And that is something very, very different than what I did in my corporate job. And the culture is very different. So I have to not just learn about the culture, but also the processes that have been implemented by the organization, study them up, and then implement strategies. Because the new organization does work a lot with unhoused people, And I want to make sure that I understand that culture and those barriers, those boundaries as well before I even implement or push anything out. Because my thought process may be very different than the colleagues who actually go out and do the frontline work. So I don't feel comfortable sharing any possible strategies till I'm aware and familiar with the organization itself first. It's only been less than 2 weeks. I don't want to assume anything.
True, true. I think for me, I don't work in that situation or organization. In terms of strategies employing creating a culture of inclusion, generally speaking, is to have everyone have a voice and to be intentional to ensure
Mhm.
that if you know that this is part of your core team, that you
Mhm.
include them in that conversation, right? Like if you are in the core team and you said, hey, this is my team, they are included in that conversation. Because even if you try, the thing is, the only thing you can do is really try, because sometimes people will always interpret your actions, your words, your attempt of anything as something different based on their heads. That's the problem I think with people, is like it's so super complicated. It doesn't have to be, but often we live in our head, so it's always this struggle of like, yes, I'm trying to include you in this conversation, but I can try. You, Noni, have to try to meet me halfway because I'm trying here, right? But it's like it takes two to tango, and I think for the conversation to happen, to be included, is you have to include yourself.
Mhm.
Otherwise you're choosing not to be included in that decision making. So that's really the problem. I, generally speaking, that's how I feel sometimes. It's like I'm trying, but if you're not going to be engaging, then you have chosen to not include yourself, not me.
So that's exactly why the conversation that I've had with my boss was, once I get settled in properly, the goal is to go to different communities and actually have a hands-on experience with the actual clientele. So I understand where they're coming from and base strategies and, affinity groups, trainings based on that versus whatever's in my head, which is obviously very different than what's actually going on outside.
Yeah, yeah, because we live in our heads, and
Right.
unfortunately, it gets complicated because of that. And our past trauma and our past experiences, not the good ones either, we
Mhm.
always bring to the table, and that's when biases comes in, and that's when you're living in your head even worse, which we do
Mhm.
all the time. We're aware, but we're still not doing, like, we're not connecting the actions and the reaction very well sometimes. And I think that's why human beings are connected to a lot of dramas because of that. But I'm glad that you are in this journey, and I'm glad people like you, who are kind-hearted, who are introverted but really willing to take up and step up and said, "Hey, I will take this energy, this vibe, to create a community who needs me." Right? I promise this is my last question. Okay. If this is your last day today on this earth, what would be your parting message to your current and future families in terms of living life, legacy, and impact?
Parting message would be, stop chasing the wrong things. They will not get you happiness. Building communities and connections are what melts your heart, not money or fame. And live by that, because that's what I do. I really don't care about money that much as some other people may. But for me, it's just a matter of get on your own 2 feet, make something of yourself without ruining or causing harm to anyone else. That's just what I would say.
I love that. That's why we connect and vibe, because we need money to survive, but it's not a one all be all, right? Building communities, taking care of other people. When you are committed to a project, it doesn't matter if our personality clash or whatnot. You have to stick to that project because you're committed to that project. And that's your integrity, all of it, right? That's your integrity. And all of you is belonging to that community. So thank you so much for your time today. Any last message to anyone other than Ollie that you would like to impart tonight? I'm sure this is not your first and your last in Level Up Circle. So talk to me. What is your parting message?
Just be human. And if you know that you are going to, and if you know you have your talents and your integrity, like you said, and you know that you're a kind person, make sure to utilize that and share that and not just hold it within yourself. And I say that not just to my partner who's listening right now, but just everyone else too. To just, I know that we're all afraid of doing things that will cause us a lot of pain, but also at the same time, you pass that pain and then you'll be successful regardless of what it is. So I encourage you to push yourselves, and there's no boundaries whatsoever. If you want something, then just go for it. Don't be afraid of anything. Nothing's going to hold you back except you.
Hint, hint, Hank. I just learned his name. Hint, hint, Hank. Who's listening to the other room? Noni loves you very much. I'm just saying. We're not talking about you or nothing. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That little birdie in there. I love your passion for people. I love your passion for creating communities, equity, inclusion, diversity, and belonging. Belonging to a community that you truly feel accepted is super important, because it's what fuels you when you're down, right? When it's what fuels you when you're up, and it's what fuels you when you're like, I don't want to do nothing today, and then people call like, Noni, I need you, and you're like, okay, I'm getting up today, I guess. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being amazing. And we're both sick. We're gonna get better. I cannot drink coffee anymore. I'm gonna drink tea after this for sure. And I love you, Noni. Please get better. I will see you soon. I will be
Yes.
visiting San Francisco. My daughter's there. My mom's there in Venetia. Even if
And
we have to meet halfway or whatever, I will
we need
see
to
you.
maintain our fabulousness, Dr. Constance. Maintain our
Oh,
fabulous.
you gotta be careful because I like bougie glitter. What?
Oh,
What?
you can
Like,
have all the glitter. You can have all the glitter. I'll
I
be
will bring.
simple.
I will bring. Okay, my daughter thinks I'm LA. I'm a Valley girl sometimes, and he's like, "Mom, you were not even born in LA. Grandma was. What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't know. I hang out too much with my mother. She was born in LA." But I love you, Noni. Please feel better. I
You,
need you.
you too feel
Hank,
better.
I need her. So make sure she's better. And her boss and her new job needs her too. So feel better. And I will see you around. Thank you so much for spending the night with me here for an hour, having a conversation, and good vibes always. Okay, sister?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you and everyone watching, including Hank, even though that's not his real name. So don't come for me. But thank you all very much.
All right. Bye, Noni. Guys, that was so amazing. Thank you so much for watching us late. I know it's late night show. I usually don't have late night, but for my special people, especially for my Australian brothers and sisters, I usually do nighttime. But she's not in Australia. She's definitely here in California. But she was in her new job. She still is in her new job, and she can't do 9 a.m. But I love Noni because she supported me. I love bringing out people with value to you guys. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't subscribed in my YouTube, please do. I need to hit 50,000 soon. I'm almost at 38,000. I appreciate you. We just hit 100,000 views on the 25th. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will keep bringing value. Watch out for this month. I will be giving you guys free classes that I usually will charge, but I want to give you guys Level Up Academy through education. And we're going to talk anything about business, anything about technology. And I'm also trying to get a basic and master's in neuro linguistic. I don't know how that will work. And I'll also be sharing emotional intelligence. I will be getting certified with that as well. I do teach that already, but I always want to level up myself. And you guys keep motivating me to continuously improve. Love you guys. I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. because that is a Podfest conversation. And the giveaway for a free chapter tomorrow will be announced. And let me tell you a hint, comment more. I think the machine likes it when you comment. I don't know how the machine does it, but it does just do it. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Have a nice, beautiful evening. See ya.